We are live. Hi everyone, welcome back to Codera. Today in this video we'll be discussing the LeetCode daily challenge for 18th or 19th of Feb. The name of the problem is minimize deviation in an array. Previously this problem has been asked in Amazon and Microsoft, so please give me a quick plus one in the chat if my voice is clearly audible to everyone and the screen is visible, so that I can start with this particular problem as soon as possible. Also just let me know in the comments if everything is working fine or not, so that we can start with this video, right? So this problem, as I told you, it has been previously asked in Amazon and Microsoft, Amazon and Samsung. So this particular problem has been asked in Amazon and Samsung, and the name of the problem is minimum deviation in an array, right? Hi Shreya, hi everyone. I'll just give you one update as well. Just let me write the problem name. So in this, what you have to do is you have to find the minimum deviation in an array. So basically this is an array based problem. The problem statement is very basic. We'll be learning like how we have to do everything in this particular problem. So all of you can just consider to hit the like button and give me a quick plus one in the chat, so that we can start with this particular problem as soon as possible. Also because of just a quick update I'll like to give, like because of the exams, I think for some of the days I have skipped the problem of the day, or you can say I have skipped this LeetCode daily challenge for some of the days. So you can let me know whether you would like me to do the live streaming of those problems, or you would like me to record those problems, whichever days on which I have missed the LeetCode daily challenge live streaming because of some exams and all those things. If you think that you want me to take the live stream, you can write live stream in the chat. If you think that I should provide you the recorded video along with the timestamps and the codes and everything, then you can mention that as well. Like whatever you will mention, according to that we can continue, right? And please hit the like button, guys, so that I can start. So I'll just wait for your responses and then we'll start reading this problem statement. So as I told you earlier as well, that this particular problem has been asked in Amazon and it has been asked in Samsung. It's written a hard problem, but basically this is not a hard problem. I would say it's a medium level problem only. If you are someone who is solving LeetCode daily challenges every day with me, who have solved day by day every day with me, or if you are someone who has been doing a lot of problem solving, so this is a medium problem for all of you, right? So you can just give me a quick plus one in the chat if you want me to continue with this problem. In this particular problem, what we'll be doing is you will be given an array nums, you will be given an array, and what you can do is you can perform two types of operations, right? You will be given an array, you will be given an array nums, right? So you'll be given an array nums, and what you can do with this particular array is my voice and everything clear? Give me a quick plus one in the chat if you want. Okay, right. So in this particular problem, what you have to do is you can just write your response whether you want me to take live streams of those problems, or you want me to provide the recorded version of those problems, right? So in this particular problem, what you have to do is you will be provided the array nums, and what you can do is you have two choices. If suppose that there is one element, right? There is nums of I, there is the current element is nums of I. If that particular element is even, right, if the current nums of I is even, then what you can do is if the current element is even, then you can what you can do is you can divide by 2, right? If nums of I, if the current element, if the ith element is odd, then what you can do is you can multiply it by 2 and make it even, right? So what does this mean? Is this much part clear of the problem? That if you will be given an array, and what you can do is you can, if you are given a number nums of I, if you have the current number as nums of I, if it is even, then you can divide it by 2. So if suppose I was giving you 8 as an element, so you'll divide it by 2, so it will become 4. You can divide it by 2 again, so it will become 2. You can divide it by 2 again, so it will become 1. So once it becomes 1, so in that case you cannot change because this is odd number, right? Similarly, if I will say that, okay, if I have a number like 30, so if I will divide since 30 is even, so I will divide it by 2, so it will become 15. But furthermore, I cannot divide it, right? And let's say I have some number, let's say I have been given the number as 7. So since 7 is an odd number, so what I can do is I can multiply 7 by 2 and it will become 14. So I can change an odd number to an even number by multiplying it by 2, and if I have an even numbers, then I can keep on dividing it by 2 as many number of times as I want, or things like these. So this is what the problem says. Now in this particular problem, what you have to do is you can perform these two types of operations on any element any number of times, right? You can perform this particular operation any number of times. If the number is even, then you can keep on dividing it by 2 if it is even. If the number is odd, then what you can do is you can simply multiply multiplied by 2. So what you have to do is, you have to, after performing certain number of operations that you find are suitable, what you have to do is, there is given this definition, that is deviation of an array. So the deviation of an array is the new array that will be made, right? After you make some changes, so what will happen, nums array will get updated after you have made some changes. So there will be the nums array that will get updated, right? So after this, what you have to do is, you have to find that, okay, what is the minimum element and what is the maximum element, and the deviation of that of a given array, of the new array, will be, deviation is equal to nothing but the value of the maximum element minus the minimum element, right? So this is the deviation, and what you have to do is, you have to minimize this deviation. You have to minimize the difference between the maximum element and the minimum element after the array is updated, right? Is this much part of the problem clear to everyone? Consider giving me a quick plus one in the chart if you have understood this problem. That you will be given an array. If the element is even, then you can divide it by 2. If the particular ith element is odd, then you can multiply it by 2, and you can multiply it by 2. Once it becomes even, then you cannot multiply it by 2, then only you can divide it by 2, right? So you can perform these types of operations any number of times on any number, or any particular element, or any number of elements, and ultimately you'll be getting a resultant array, right? So once you have that new updated array, so what you have to do is, you have to find the deviation of the array. What is deviation of the array? The deviation is nothing but the difference between the maximum element and the minimum element. And what you have to do in this particular problem is, you have to minimize the deviation. That is, you have to, in the new array that you have made, whatever is the minimum element, whatever is the new minimum element and the new maximum element, you have to minimize their difference. Please consider giving me a quick plus one in the chat if you have understood this part, so that I can proceed further, right? All of you just hit the like button and give me a quick plus one in the chat if you have understood this particular problem, right, up till now. Have you guys understood it? I hope that you have understood it, right? So let's take some of the cases here. So let's take the first test case that has been given to us. So if I'll scroll down, so the test case is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the test case is 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4, right? I have this particular test case with me. All of you can just give me a quick plus one in the chat if you have understood this problem, right? So if I have this particular test case, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I can do is, I want the difference between the maximum minus minimum, right? This is something that I want, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? That this is what I have. So what is deviation? Deviation is this thing. Deviation is the difference between the maximum and the minimum element. Now the thing is, either my maximum should be as close to the minimum as possible, right? Either I should try to make my maximum close to the minimum, either I should try to minimize my maximum, right? I should try to decrease my maximum, or I should try to increase my minimum, right? Either maximum should come closer to the minimum element, or the minimum element should come closer to the maximum element. So the minimum element, either the minimum element should increase to come closer to the maximum element, so that the deviation is low, so that the difference is low, or the minimum or the maximum element should decrease so that it comes closer to the minimum element, and the deviation on the difference between the maximum and the minimum element is reduced, right? This is what I can say. Now there are two things that are happening. What I can say is, if the number is even, then I can say that it is decreasing, right? Because I am dividing it by 2 if the current number is even. If a particular number is even, if the ith number is even, then I am dividing it by 2. And if the number is odd, then what I am doing is, can I say that I am increasing its value because I am multiplying by 2, right? So there are several challenges that are lying ahead of me. That is, I am not sure what to do. There are basically two types of operations that are being performed. One is this, second is this. One is decreasing the value of the elements, second is increasing the value of the elements. And if I'll perform these operations randomly, in that case I'll never be able to get the exact idea that what is the minimum difference that I can get, right? Please quickly give me a plus one in the chat if you have understood this much part, right? All of you can just consider to give me a quick plus one in the chat if you have understood this much part, so that I can proceed further, right? You can write understood or clear in the chat so that I know that you have understood it, right? So the thing is, either it is even, right? If it is even, then I'll decrease it. If it's odd, then I'll increase it, right? These are the two operations that I can perform. So I said that if the maximum number is there, so I'll try to minimize it. I'll try to reduce it so that it can come closer to the minimum number, so that the difference can become low, so that the difference can decrease, or the minimum number, I can increase the minimum number such that the minimum number comes closer to the maximum number. In that case also the difference will decrease, right? This is what will happen. Now in this particular situation, what I can do is, I don't want the array to be dynamic. I don't want the operations to be dynamic since there are two operations, right? So I'll not be able to figure out. So I need to eliminate one of the operations. So what I can do is I can say that okay, whichever element is odd, I can simply multiply it by 2. I can say that okay, whichever element is odd, I can simply multiply it by 2. How does that help? So if suppose that I have what? I have, let's say, this particular test case, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm saying is I had two operations. One was an increasing operation, which I was doing on the odd numbers, for the odd numbers, and where I was multiplying numbers by 2. And second was a decreasing operation that I was doing for the even numbers, where I was decreasing the odd numbers where I was dividing the odd numbers by 2, even numbers by 2, right? This is what I was doing. Now these two operations are very dynamic. I need to keep that operation only one, so that I can figure out that what is the minimum difference that I can have. So I can easily say that I can eliminate one of these operations, like this increasing operation. By how I can eliminate it? I'll perform it only once. Like I'll perform it only one time. Every element that is odd, I'll multiply it by 2. It is saying that whatever odd elements are there, you have to increase them, that is you have to multiply them by 2. So whatever odd elements are there, I'll simply multiply them by 2, so that this particular operation is done. I'll multiply all the odd elements. I have to increase odd elements, right? So I have to multiply odd elements by 2. So I'll multiply all the odd elements by 2. What does this mean? So the array would look like this. If it was 1, 2, 3, 4, so it will look like 2, then 6 and 4, right? Now with this particular array, can I say that only one operation is possible here, right? Only one operation if all the array elements have become now equal. I am not changing the even elements, right? 2 was an even element, I have not changed it. 4 was an even element, I have not touched it. But 1 and 4, which were 1 and 3, which were odd elements, I have multiplied them by 2, so that I have eliminated one of the operations that I will not be doing now. Only one operation I will be doing, that since all the elements are even, so that's why I will now just be decreasing, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? That now one of the operations is eliminated. Now I don't have to take the tension. I don't have to consider the increment, the multiply by 2 operation for the odd numbers, right? So that means, what does this mean? What does this mean? So this means that now I have what? I have the definition that deviation is equal to nothing but maximum minus minimum, right? This is what the definition of deviation is. Now what I've said is that I told you that either I could have increased by minimum, so that they come closer to the maximum and the difference is lesser, or I could reduce my maximum element. And make it closer to the minimum element such that the difference comes lesser, right? If the maximum element will decrease, then in that case, guys, please hit the like button if you have understood up till now, right? So if the maximum element is decreasing, then what will happen? If the maximum element is decreasing, in that case it will come closer to the minimum element, right? So I told you that okay, I can increase the minimum element and make it closer to the maximum element, right? In that case the deviation will decrease, right? If the minimum element increased, right? If the element increased, so the minimum will also increase, right? So, and the consider that the maximum was something like a constant. So in that case, what will happen? The difference will come lesser. But I will not perform this operation, because now I'm only left with one operation, because all the numbers are even. So that is why I'm left with only one operation, that is dividing by 2 operations. So in this case, what will happen? Hi Shaheen, where were you? Like long time no see. You have been not attending these sessions, right? So what I'll be doing is I can say that okay, decreasing even number is the only operation that is left. So that means that I have just one operation. I can only decrease the maximum, right? I can only decrease the maximum value such that it comes closer to the minimum value, right? So this is what I'll be doing, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? Please consider giving me a quick +1 in the chat so that I can proceed further. Please give me a quick +1 in the chat, or write clear in the chat if you have understood up till now, right? Please hit the like button and give me a quick +1 in the chat so that I can proceed further with this problem, right? Okay, is this much part clear to everyone? I'll be explaining both the test cases and everything as well, right? So as I told you, if I was given this array, right, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if I'm given this array, so I multiply the odd numbers, that is 1 and 3 by 2. So this becomes 2, 2. Now this is 6 and 4, right? Okay, now the thing is, what is the minimum element here? I know that here the minimum element, like initially I need to find a result, right? I need a resultant. So in the result, what will the result have? Result will have nothing but the maximum minus minimum element, right? So what is this result? currently the minimum element I can say is 2 and the maximum element is 6, so the difference is 4, right? So the difference is 4. I'll say that is perfectly fine. I'll say the difference is coming out to be 4, the deviation is currently 4. Now I'll try to minimize it, right? Now I'll try to minimize it. Now what I can easily observe is, one thing that I can easily observe is, I had the minimum element, right? What I said was I have the deviation, I have the deviation as nothing but maximum minus minimum. Now I've told you that either I could have increased my minimum so that it came closer to the maximum, so the difference was less, but that is not possible now because I can only decrement the values, that is I can divide the numbers by 2 since all of the numbers are even now, right? So that's why what I'll do is, I have this maximum number, right? I have this max number, so I can divide it by 2. So that means that I can reduce the maximum number by 2, right? I can reduce the maximum number by 2. So I will have currently, every time I'll be updating my minimum and the maximum, right? So that's why what will happen is, I have the minimum, right? Currently my minimum, I'll write it here for all of you so that you can understand it better. So the currently my minimum is equal to nothing but 2 and the maximum is nothing but 6, right? Now this is the case. Now let's try and observe. So what do you observe? If you will observe closely, so what will happen is, this 6 is the maximum, right? 6 is the maximum element. So since 6 is the maximum element, so I told you that I need to reduce the maximum element, right? So that it can come closer to the minimum element, so that the difference can decrease. So that is why what I'll do is, I'll make this maximum element decrease by 2. So 6 by 2 will become 3. So in place of this 6, I'll write 3. Now in place of this 6, I'll have 3. So since I'm having 3, now what will happen? I'll check for the maximum. What is the maximum element? So the maximum, don't worry, like how we'll be calculating the maximum and the minimum element, I'll be letting you know about those things. First understand the logic, first understand how we are trying to decompose this particular problem into easy steps, right? So now what I have is, what do I have? What is the maximum element now? Can you see that the maximum element is nothing but 4? So I can say, okay, the maximum is 4. So now what is the difference between maximum and minimum? So the difference is nothing but 4 minus 2. So this will give me 2. Earlier the difference was 4. Now the new difference is 2, which is lesser. So I'll update this. So now in the result 2 will get stored, right? Now what is the maximum element? Maximum element is 4. I told you that I'll be decreasing the maximum element by 2. So that is why this 4 will become 2. So I'll say, okay, now this 4 becomes 2. So I'll say perfectly fine. Now the thing is that, okay, what is the maximum element now? Now the maximum element is 3, right? Now the maximum element is 3. So I'll say that, okay, I'll not divide it, but now I'll not divide this array, right? Because this is the maximum element and now I cannot reduce the maximum element any further. Now the maximum element will remain 3 because it is the maximum element and I can reduce the maximum element by dividing it by 2, but since it is an odd number, so I'll not be dividing it, right? So that's why what will happen, I have to compromise with this as the maximum element. So I'll do what? I'll do 3 minus 2, so that will give me 1. So that's why I'll update my result to 1 like this, right here. I'll update my result to 1. Right, is this much part clear to everyone? Please give me a quick +1 in the chat if you have understood this much part of the problem, so that I can move further, right? All of you just hit the like button and give me a quick +1 in the chat if you have understood this much part, right? All of you have understood it, right? Perfect. Now the thing is, you have easily observed that every time what we are doing is, I am updating the minimum element, right? How I will keep on updating the minimum element? What, like, I'm always, like, you can say that, okay, I am taking out the maximum element. What I'm doing is I am taking out the maximum element. Then what I am doing is I am calculating result is equal to nothing but minimum of I'll just write this for you here, right? What I'm doing is, sir, clear, sir, why we convert all odd to even, multiply by 2, not only the smallest number? Like Shaheen, I have explained this in the starting of this video, so you can just, like, I have told you, right? Because we had two operations, right? One operation was multiplying each number by 2 or dividing by 2, right? Multiplying odd numbers by 2 or dividing even numbers by 2. So I only wanted to consider one operation, right? That is dividing operation. So that is why I multiplied all the odd numbers by 2, so that I do not have to consider that operation. I just have to consider the answer. So that is why. You can just watch the recording back if you have missed some part. So what I am saying is, you, every time what you do is you take out the maximum element, right? You take out the maximum element, right? And what you do is you calculate the result. So result is equal to nothing but this thing, right? Result is equal to nothing but minimum of result comma something like this, maximum element minus minimum element, right? Maximum element minus minimum element. I'll be always updating. Then what I'll be doing is I am taking out the maximum element, so I'm removing it from the array, you can say, or something like that. Then what I'm doing is, now next step what I am doing is I'm saying that okay, if the maximum element is what if the maximum element is odd, right? So if the maximum element mod 2 is equal to 0, then what I'm doing is I'm doing maximum divide is equal to 2, right? So I'm dividing the maximum element, right? And then I'm inserting it into the array again, right? Inserting it into my data again, right? And then I'm also updating my minimum. So like insert in array लिख देते हैं, insert in array, right? I'm inserting in my array. Then what I'm doing is I'm doing mi is equal to nothing but minimum of mi. So this is the minimum element. Minimum element is nothing but minimum of minimum comma max, because max has now updated, right? So I'll check whether the minimum element is there or not. Like the minimum element might have got updated, right? Because it might happen that when you divide the maximum element by 2, so it might become the minimum element, right? So that's why you need to keep a check. So this is how we are doing it, and you can say here this is min mi, right? So this is what I'm doing. Now the thing is, you have understood that okay, I'm taking the I can take out the minimum element in order of one time, right? I can see that I can take out the minimum element in order of one time every time, right? I can keep a track of the minimum element in order of one time. But the thing with this question is that since I can keep the track of the minimum element in order of one time, but I'm always taking out the maximum element, right? I'm always taking out the maximum element. If I do it from the array, so it will take order of n time. If I'm doing it linearly, if I'm doing it using sorting, so it will take order of n log n time. So even if I do it using linear approach, it will take order of n time. But is this some, now the thing is that what are some of the things that are available, right? This is DSA, right? So that's why you will can you think of some data structure which will help me to find which is the minimum maximum element in more efficient time? Can you think of some data structure? Just let me know. Can you think of some data structure? Can you think of some data structure which will help me to fetch, which will help me to keep a track of the maximum element, which will help me to get the maximum element in much better time compared to order of n? Can I say that data structure can be something like a set, or it can be a priority queue? And I think that I can consider a priority queue here, right? I can consider a data structure like a priority queue because it will give me the largest element in order of log n time every time, right? We will priority queue to min and max. So yeah, so okay, but we are taking the minimum element in order of one time, so that's why we just need the priority queue or the max heap for the maximum element, right? So instead of order of n, we can do this in order of log n, right? Order of log n. Now this is the thing. Now let me come to this particular test case, the second test case, so that I can understand things a little bit more better, right? So let's come to this thing. So just let me have a look at the test cases. So the test case is 4, 1, 5, 20 and 3. So the test case is 4, 1, 5, 20 and 3. This is the test case, right? So what I'll be doing is I'll be having a priority queue, right? First of all, I'll multiply every number by all the odd numbers by 2. So what does this array become like? 4, then this number multiplied by 2. So this number multiplied by 2, then this is 20 and this is 6, right? So I'll keep a track initially of the minimum and the maximum element, right? So what is the minimum element? Can I say that the minimum element is nothing but 2? I'll keep a track. And what is the maximum element currently? Current maximum element is nothing but 20, right? So in my result, what I'll do is, in my result currently I'll have 18, right? In my result I'll have 18 because the difference between the maximum result is what? Result is mx minus mi, right? Mx minus mi. And what I'll get? I'll get this thing, that is result is equal to nothing but 18. So I'll say okay, currently the result is 18. Then as I told you, what is deviation? Deviation is nothing but mx minus mi. I told you that I have reduced the problem to just dividing the number by 2 because all the numbers here are even. So that's why just one operation it has been reduced, that is just dividing the number by 2. So that is why what will happen in this particular case is I'll divide the number by 2. So this 20 this maximum number I'll be dividing, right, so that it can come closer to the minimum. So since my maximum currently was 20, so what will happen is I'll divide 20 by 2, so it will become 10. So that means this 20 will become 10. So in place of this 20, I'll write 10 and I'll update my minimum, right? So minimum is equal to nothing but minimum of mi comma max mx, right? So that is what I'm doing. So mx is what? Mx is currently 10, so that 10 is not lesser than 2, so that's why 2 will remain here. And then what will happen? I'm assuming that I'm having a priority queue, right? So you can assume that I have a priority queue somewhere here. So in the priority queue, what is the element at the top? 10 is here at the top. Then I have 10, 4, 2 and 6 elements like these. All these elements are present, right? So 10 is the topmost element currently. So I'll check for the maximum element. I can check it in log n time. So 10 is the maximum element now. So since 10 is the maximum element, so I'll calculate the deviation again. What is the deviation that I am getting? Deviation I'm getting is now the deviation will be 8, right? I can say that the deviation will be, instead of this, the deviation will be 8, because 10 minus 2 will give me 8. Now the maximum element is 10, so I'll divide this 10 by 2. So what will I get? I'll get 5. So this element will reduce to 5. Now I am again checking whether minimum is updating or not. Minimum is equal to nothing but minimum of mi comma mx, because mx I have divided by 2. Mx divided is equal to 2. This is what I have done. So now minimum is still there, and now what is happening? The new current top element is 5, 10, and the this element 10 became 5, right? So the current element is 10 again. So since the current element is 10 again, so what I'll do, I can very easily observe in this particular case. Let me see what's the answer for this case. The answer is 3, right? So I can very easily have you understood this much part? I hope that you guys have understood it, right? So now the thing is, what is the topmost element? The topmost element is 10. What is the difference? The difference will come out to be 10. So I'll divide this 10 by 2. So this 10 will become what? 5. It becomes 5. Now the moment it becomes 5, so now what is the highest element? The topmost element of the priority queue. What is the topmost element? At the topmost element, I have this 5, right? Since the topmost element is 5, so I know that this element is what? This element is even, not odd, right? So I cannot reduce it further, right? So I'll say that, okay, now let's consider in the last, I'll whenever the priority queue's top element is odd, right? Whenever the maximum element of the priority queue is odd, in that case I'll break, and then I'll check what is the top element. The top element is 5. So I will check that in the end that, okay, this is 5. So 5 minus 2, what does it give me? So 5 minus 2 will give me nothing but this 3. Right, 5 minus 2 will give me 3. So now my result is 3. In the result, 3 is stored, and you can easily observe that 3 is the answer, and here 5 minus 2 is the thing, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? Is the problem and the approach clear to everybody, right? Let me show you how I'm writing the code for it so that you can understand it a little bit more better. So what I'm doing is, first of all, I declare a priority queue, right? You can the Java and the C++, both the codes are available in the description. Then what you do is, you have n is equal to nums.size. Maximum is 6 in this case. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. Currently the maximum is 6, right? So what will happen with the 6, right? Sorry. Okay. I just missed it. So since the maximum here is 6, right? So what will happen is still the answer will be 3, because the maximum is 6. So what will happen? The maximum will be 6, and earlier the result was something, but now the result will become 4, right? Because 6 minus 2 will become 4. Then what will happen? This 6 will get updated. I'll divide it by 2, so this 6 will become 3. So instead of this 6, I'll write 3 here. And then what will happen? This 3 will get entered here, right? This 3 will be there, and now the topmost element will be 5. When the top element is 5, right? When the topmost element is 5, I can say that topmost element is odd. In that case, I can say that, okay, I'll not be reducing my maximum any further. I'll not be dividing it by 2 any further. So what is the maximum now? In the end, I'll check, okay, if the maximum element is odd, so I'll break from the loop and I'll check, okay, what is the maximum element? Maximum is 5. I'll subtract it from the minimum. So what will I get? I'll get this thing, right? 5 minus 2, that is 3. So that is how it will get updated. Now let me show you the code part. I just missed the 6th part, but still I hope that the observation is clear. Now what I've done in this is, I have minimum is equal to int max, minimum is equal to positive infinity, maximum is equal to negative infinity. Basically I'll check what is the minimum element and the maximum element of the array. If the current element is even, then I'll push it into the priority queue. If the ith element is odd, then I'll multiply it by 2 and then I'll push it into the priority queue. Once I've done this, so what I'll do is, I'll keep on checking that what is the minimum element. I'll check minimum is equal to nothing but kal ka LeetCode daily challenge. कीजिए ना remove. I'll do it, Pranay. I'll do it probably maybe tomorrow or today in the evening. I'll try to bring the video of that. Okay, so minimum, I'll check the minimum. I'll keep the minimum. I'll keep the maximum. So after this loop is over, so in the priority queue, all the elements are inserted, and I know that what is the maximum element currently and what is the minimum element. So in the result, I'll store it. Then what I told you was, if the top of the priority queue is having an even element, if the top of the priority queue is having an even element, like in this case we had some array like this, right? 20, then we had 2, then we had, let's say we had what, we had 6, then we had elements like 10, and let's say we had element like 4, right? So if the top element is even, in that case I'm running, right? In that case I need to divide, I need to keep on checking, right? Whenever the top element became odd, right, in that case 5 was the topmost element which was odd. In that case I broke and I checked that okay, result is equal to minimum of result comma priority queue dot top, that is the maximum element minus the minimum element. So I was checking. Otherwise, if the current top is even, in that case what I'm doing, I'm storing the current top, and what I'm doing is I'm updating with my result. So result is equal to nothing but minimum of result comma current maximum, you can say current as current max, right? Current as current max. So result is equal to nothing but current max, this thing I'll update it. Yeah, so current result is equal to nothing but minimum of result comma current max minus 1 minus minimum, and then I'll divide the current max by 2. Notice that the previous maximum that was there, I'm popping it out from the priority queue. Then I'm inserting this new max, that is which max I'm getting by dividing by 2, because it was even, as I've seen already here, and then I'm updating my minimum every time, right? And once I come out of this loop, so it might happen that what will happen is the array would look something like this, right? That in the priority queue the elements would be like this, right? In this you can say 3, then 2, and then let's say 5, and let's say 4, something like this, right? So in this case you can see that the top element is 5, and this while loop will not run, right? Okay, because the top element mod 2, 5 mod 2 is not equal to 0, so that's why it will not run. So in the end I need to check that okay, my minimum element is nothing but 2, so minimum I have kept on updating, so minimum is 2. What is the top element? Top element is 5, so I'll check okay, result is equal to nothing but minimum of result comma 5 minus 2, which is this thing I am doing. Like let me copy this. So this is something that I am doing here, and then I am simply returning the result. Please give me a quick +1 in the chat if you have understood this part, right? Have you all understood this particular problem? You can just give me a quick +1 in the chat. Have you all understood this particular problem? Just let me know in the chat. Then we can proceed further. Just give me a quick +1 in the chat. Have you all understood this particular problem? Okay, it's clear, sir. Any new series? Currently I'll plan it. Just give me 1 more week time, then I'll try to plan something new for you guys. I have still an incomplete by research series, right? All of you can just give a like to the video and give me a quick +1 in the chat if you have understood this part, right? Another thing that you could have done is, instead of if suppose that someone was thinking that okay, how can I do it? So instead of priority queue, you could have also used a set data structure, right? You could have used a set as well, and in the set you could have directly found, like in the set, how do you get the maximum element? So if you are using a C++, so this is nothing but, if suppose set is st, like set int s, something like this. So star st dot r begin will give me the maximum element, right? Will give me the maximum element, and star st dot begin, because the starting of this set is the smallest element, it will give me the minimum element, right? So I can keep on erasing and updating like this. Let me show you the set approach for this particular problem. It is very easy to implement, although I'll recommend it to think in the priority queue fashion, because it's much better in the thought process. Then what I'm doing here is, like if I have a particular number, so if that particular number is divisible by 2, then I'm directly inserting it into the set, and here the problem of duplicacy will also get removed. So that's perfectly fine. Duplicate numbers will also not affect us much, but still set will help us in that way also. So if the current number is odd, then I'm inserting number into 2, right? So I'm multiplying the number by 2. After this, what I'm doing is I'm calculating the difference. So as I told you, in C++, s dot r begin will give me the maximum element, right? I'll write here for you. So the maximum is equal to nothing but s dot r begin Why am I using a pointer here? Because it gives the pointer to it, right? So I'm using a star here so that I can get that data, right? I can get that particular element. So what is the minimum element? Current minimum element will always be the star s dot begin, right? So that is the starting element of the set, right? And I'll check if the reverse begin element, that is the last element, that is the largest element of the set, if it is even, right? If it is even, in that case what I'll do is, in that case I'll extract the even element, I'll extract the topmost element, that is even maximum element, and I'll erase it from the set. Once I've erased it, so what I'll do is, I have already stored in x, so I'll be calculating the difference, that is the resultant difference, and I'll insert x by 2 into the set. In the end, I'll just return the difference. That is what I'll do. So I hope that you guys have understood this particular problem very much. If is this much part clear to everybody, you can just let me know in the chat if it is clear to you guys or not. If something is not clear, you can just let me know in the chat, and you can consider to hit the like button, guys. I've tried to explain it in the best way possible. I've attached the Java code to this problem as well, so you can just give me a quick response in the chat and like the video as well. You can just write clear in the chat. A little acknowledgement from your side will help. And this is our channel, that is Code Era. Today on this channel, what we'll be doing is, we'll be doing the LeetCode bi-weekly today, so make sure to attempt it. We'll be posting the LeetCode tutorials for LeetCode bi-weekly today, Saturday. Then what we have tomorrow is, we have LeetCode weekly tomorrow 8 a.m. so by the afternoon we'll be posting this as well. Apart from this, set wala bhi acha concept hai. Yes, it's a good concept, right? Now apart from this, we have tomorrow code forces contest, so I'll try to record it as well. So these are the things that I've planned for you guys for this weekend. So make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. All of you can just give me a quick question in the chat before I go. Thanks a lot for joining in. I'll see you soon in the next live. Till then, take care. See you. Happy coding.